Okay, so we're going to pull back the curtain on something that, well, pretty much runs our entire world. But we're not going to start with some supercomputer. Nope. We're going to start right here with something much simpler, a deck of cards.
So, how about a magic trick? I'm talking about a really cool one where you can have someone just yell out red or black, and bam, you pull that exact color card out of a mixed up pile. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll not only know how to do it, you'll understand the incredible secret that makes it work.
All right, picture this. You've got a whole mess of cards, all face down on the table. Someone from the audience shouts red, and you, somehow, flip over a red card. Every single time. It totally looks like magic, right? But it's not. The secret? It's all in the steps.
Okay, so here's where the real magic happens. And it's all done before anyone's even watching. You grab about 10 red cards, and you just, subtly give them a tiny little bend backward, just a slight curve. Then you do the exact opposite for 10 black cards. You give them a little forward curve. It's so small, no one will ever notice.
So when it's showtime, you just mix them all up, face down. And when someone yells red, all you have to do is let your fingers drift over the cards. You're feeling for that backward curve. You find one, you flip it, and you're a genius. If they ask for black, you just feel for one that's curving forward. You're not guessing. You're literally feeling the answer. And that's it. That's the whole thing. If you follow those steps, just like that, the trick works perfectly. Every single time. See, it's not really magic, is it? It's a method, a procedure. Which brings us to the big question. What did you actually just learn? Believe it or not, you just learned an algorithm. Yep, that simple, foolproof set of instructions for the card trick, that's what an algorithm is. The official definition is pretty simple. An algorithm is just a set of steps that tells you exactly how to do something. Think of it like a recipe. It's a clear, step-by-step guide to get a specific result. That's all there is to it. And once you get this, you start seeing them absolutely everywhere. Seriously. A recipe for baking a cake? That's an algorithm. The directions your phone gives you to get to a new restaurant? Totally an algorithm. Even the way you operate a washing machine or read sheet music. At their heart, they're all just algorithms. Okay, so let's take this idea and level it up. How do we go from a recipe for a cake to something a computer can actually follow? Well, that's where something called a program comes into play. A program is basically the algorithm, but translated into a language a machine can understand. It's the bridge between the idea, the recipe, and the machine that's going to execute it. And this brings us to a really core idea in all of technology, the difference between software and hardware. It's simple, really. Hardware is the physical stuff you can touch, your phone, your laptop, the computer chips. Software? That's the invisible stuff. It's the programs, the algorithms, the instructions that tell all that physical hardware what to do. But here's the wild part. This whole idea of algorithms, it's not new. It didn't start with computers. We're talking thousands of years ago, back in the world of mathematics. Ancient thinkers were obsessed with this. They were hunting for these perfect, step-by-step procedures that could solve whole categories of problems. And one of the most famous and just beautiful examples is the Euclidean algorithm. This thing was figured out by the Greek mathematician Euclid more than 2,000 years ago. It's this super clever, simple process for finding what's called the greatest common divisor. Basically, it finds the biggest number that can divide perfectly into two other numbers. So how does this ancient algorithm actually work? It's really elegant. You start with two numbers, right? Let's call the big one m and the small one n. First, you divide m by n, and you look at what's left over, the remainder. We'll call that r. Now, if that remainder isn't 0, you just do it again. But this time, your old small number n becomes your new big number, and the remainder r becomes your new small number. You just keep doing that little switch and divide loop until the remainder is 0. And when it is, boom, your answer is whatever n is at that moment. Okay, that might sound a little abstract, so let's walk through a real example. Let's use the numbers 105 and 30. So m is 105, n is 30. We divide 105 by 30. It goes in 3 times with a remainder of 15. Okay, the remainder's not 0, so we loop again. Our old n, 30, becomes the new m, and the remainder 15 becomes the new n. Now we divide 30 by 15. Well, that goes in exactly twice with a remainder of 0, and we're done. The algorithm stops. The answer is the last n we used, which is 15. The greatest common divisor is 15. Pretty cool, right? So this whole idea that you can just follow steps without needing to understand the why, it leads to a massive question. I mean, if we can design an algorithm for something, we can get a machine to do it for us. But what if there are problems out there that you can't write an algorithm for at all? To even start to answer that, you have to get your head around this. The intelligence needed to solve a problem is actually baked into the algorithm. You don't have to be a math genius to use Euclid's algorithm. You just have to follow the rules. The algorithm itself holds all the smarts. For a super long time, everybody just kind of assumed that, if a problem was clear enough, you could find an algorithm to solve it. It was just a matter of time. But then in the 1930s, this logician named Kurt Gödel came along and just blew everyone's minds. He actually proved that some problems are impossible to solve with an algorithm. Not just hard, but fundamentally forever unsolvable. Yeah, that's the core idea behind his mind-bending incompleteness theorem. What it means is that there are questions out there, simple true or false questions, that no algorithm, and therefore no computer, no matter how powerful it gets, will ever be able to answer. It put a hard limit on what we can ever hope to compute. And that discovery right there, that realization that there's a line in the sand between what's solvable and what's not, that's basically the birthplace of modern computer science. Because at the end of the day, computer science isn't really about making faster phones or slicker apps. At its absolute core, it's the study of algorithms. It's about figuring out what we can accomplish with these step-by-step instructions, and maybe even more importantly, understanding what we can't. Which leaves us with one last, kind of spooky thought to chew on. If the smarts to solve a problem are packed inside an algorithm, and we now know for a fact that some problems can never have an algorithm, what does that say about the limits of our own intelligence? What questions are we just never, ever going to be able to answer?